And this one is a tragic story out of Colorado involving an 11-year-old boy named Gannon Stauch. The story began as a missing persons case.
So I'm urging anyone that has any leads, credible leads, if you're too afraid because you know something, a kid just doesn't disappear and no one sees him. It's not how this works. So if you have anything that's credible, if you're afraid, don't worry about it. Imagine my son, how afraid he is. Imagine how afraid Gannon is.
That's the family of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch looking for help to find their missing son. But just 26 days later, that emotional plea turned into heartbreak and a call for justice.
Today, I got the worst news and the best news. Obviously, we know what the worst news is, but the best news is that justice will be served, and I'll make sure that justice is served. She will pay 100% for this heinous thing she done.
Gannon's father, Al, so broken up he couldn't speak, so a member of the sheriff's office delivered his words.
My little boy is not coming home. We will never play Nintendo again. The person who committed this heinous, horrible crime is one that I gave more to anyone else on this planet, and that is a burden that I will carry with me for a very long time.
So who is this person Gannon's father is speaking about? It's Gannon's alleged killer, his wife, Gannon's stepmother. Her name is Letecia Stauch, and at the time Gannon disappeared, Letecia was part of the Stauch's blended family living in this house in Colorado Springs. Gannon's mother and father were no longer together, and Letecia was helping to raise Gannon.
As I've said in the past, we will not try this case in the media.
At this point, investigators and prosecutors have spoken very little about the facts of the case. But the prosecution's theory is laid out pretty clearly in this arrest warrant affidavit obtained by Court TV. It begins with a 911 call at 6:55 p.m. on Monday, January 27th. Letecia told the operator Gannon was supposed to come home from a friend's house an hour ago, and she was unable to locate him. At the time, Gannon's father was out of town on reserve duty. A missing person investigation was opened up, and a community began to search for a little boy.
This was a kid that it was very frequent out front, being very, being a kid, very playful, very funny.
Whatever we could do just to show them that we're thinking of them and, they're in our thoughts and prayers.
As the investigation continued, police began to question Letecia's story. They examined phone records, GPS records, home security system records, and a surveillance video from a neighbor's home.
Neighbor Roderick Drayton gave investigators his home surveillance video showing Gannon leaving with his stepmother, then returning without him on the day the child disappeared. He says he searched the video after seeing the stepmother interviewed.
It just didn't seem right the way she was talking. Okay. If my child is missing, I'm going to face the camera and talk to you, that you see the pain in my face.
In court, prosecutors spoke about the vast amount of evidence gathered during the investigation.
The last number that I heard was over 107 search warrants in this case. Yes, 107. 107. I think that number is bigger than that number, though, just based on that was last week sometime that I heard that.
These 107 search warrants uncovered a lot, including blood stains on Gannon's mattress, blood spatter on this electrical socket next to his bed, evidence of blood in the garage and near the bumper of Letecia's Volkswagen. Many of these blood samples were directly linked to Gannon's DNA. All this, enough to arrest Letecia, who was no longer in Colorado where Gannon went missing. Letecia was arrested on March 2nd in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Then, on March 20th, a huge development.
Now to breaking news at 5. It is believed that 11-year-old Gannon Stauch's remains have been found.
Gannon's remains were found not in Colorado, not in South Carolina, but in Florida, 15 miles north of Pensacola, near the Escambia River Bridge in a town called Pace.
Today I filed new formal charges in the case against Letecia Stauch. Those charges are murder in the first degree after deliberation, a Class 1 felony that carries a potential prison sentence of life in prison without parole. In addition to that, I've filed 8 counts of crime of violence for the alleged use of a firearm, a blunt instrument, a knife or other sharp object, and for causing the death of Gannon Stauch.
Letecia Stauch is presumed innocent, and according to the arrest affidavit, she has a story. She told investigators Gannon was abducted by a Hispanic man named Edgardo, who took Gannon at gunpoint after sexually assaulting Letecia inside the family's home. That's a story investigators don't believe, but the question is, will Letecia tell that story to a jury, and will a jury believe it? Or will they deliver the justice Gannon's family is looking for? There's so much about the actions of Letecia Stauch that don't make sense. Let's talk about some of them. Let's bring everyone back in. We've got Seema, Julie, and Ted all here tonight. The first thing that really struck me, Julie, is that her stepson goes missing in Colorado and she's in South Carolina, leaves the state, not looking, not searching. This makes no sense to me.
Exactly, Vinny, exactly. That is an inappropriate reaction to a horrible situation. And that's key. Investigators look for that. Detectives are looking for those big red flags to go up. And now that this case is at the point where we've got the charges, she's in jail awaiting trial, prosecutors can ask for that flight as consciousness of guilt instruction if it's available in the state. It's available in Pennsylvania where I practice law, and that's something I would always hone in on because it says something to the jury, right? The behavior doesn't match what you would think a normal person would do when they're caring for their stepson that they love. They're going to be looking for them every second. But instead, Letecia Stauch is too concerned with telling lies and covering up her story, according to investigators, Vinny.
Yeah, Ted, I don't understand how Gannon goes missing in Colorado. She's found in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Gannon is found, his remains 15 miles north of Pensacola in the panhandle of Florida.
Yeah, and they believe that she was in Florida for 2 days during that period. They believe that is when she deposited the body. It's unclear, though, specifically how she did it, if she had any help, if she was, how, the logistics around it, I'm sure will come out at trial from what they know. The bottom line is the lies that she has told have been consistent. That's the only thing that's been consistent with her story, that it's been untrue from the very beginning, that, that he left on his own, and then this idea that someone else came into the house and raped her and abducted him, complete nonsense. And in fact, she tried to purchase a fake lie detector result that she was going to bring back to Colorado with her and say, look at everybody, my story may not seem true, but I sent away for these results, and I'm not telling. The whole thing is ridiculous. A jury's going to have a lot to work with.
Lying about a lie detector.
Yes.
That's a new one. That might put her up here. She might go past Arias and Casey Anthony with that one. That's unreal. Seema, I saved this for you to start the discussion here on not just any old internet searches, but some of these alleged deleted internet searches that she did. Are you ready? Let's put them up on the screen.
Can't wait. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. I'm just a glorified babysitter. Find a new husband. And the final one, find a guy without kids. Are these deleted internet searches the motive?
It is torturous for the defense. Findanewhusband.com. Find somebody with no kids.com. And while we're at it, fakepolygraph.com. Okay, yeah, no, this case is awful. Listen, she's got to take a plea. But I also want to point out something. This affidavit, it really is a treasure trove of information. And all of you have been doing this work for a long time, but I don't think any one of us is used to having such a thick and detailed affidavit. And in the very beginning of it, it points out that this woman has, an albeit slight, but significant criminal history. My question is, did the husband know? And of course, listen, I'm not blaming him or anything like that, but just like judges and lawyers are privy to our histories when we come into a court of law. If he knew that she lost her teaching certificate, if he knew that she had a misdemeanor for communicating threats, he may not have wanted to be with this woman. And she certainly knew that he had kids, and she certainly knew what she was in for as a stepmother.
Yeah, but she raised her own child. Julie, this is the part I don't understand. Like, you want someone without children, right? You feel like what's wrong with a divorce? A divorce. Yeah. Just say it's not working anymore. I mean, why? Exactly. I don't understand why you'd have to take it out on this kid is so cute and was so full of life and was loved by everyone, just loved playing out in the front yard with his sister and his friends. I don't understand this.
You're absolutely right. And I think that passion you're showing right now, Vinny, is exactly what the prosecution has to do and will do with this case. Why did that child have to be touched? Why? And I think if I'm the prosecutor, you're going to look at all of these things in her Google search history and point to a motive. Perhaps the motive for prosecutors might be that Letecia Stauch just wanted to be seen. She wanted to be seen. If I'm on the team of the prosecution, I'm going to be using something like that because I think that would infuriate a jury to think that this beautiful little 11-year-old angel fifth grader, adorable child is going to be killed in such a violent way because somebody's looking for a guy without kids and feeling like a nanny. And my favorite one, and I'm quoting here, she said, "One day some people will wish they treated you differently." Now, to me, that could really go to that charge of murder after deliberation. If I'm on the prosecution team, I'm going to say, look, there's some intent wrapped up in that search right there, Vinny.
Absolutely.